Welcome back, everyone. It's your boy Anthony,
And Gooch.
and we're here to break down episode 6 of The Last of Us, Kin. So Kin opens up with a scene that I don't think anybody wanted to relive. So we had to relive the moment where Henry takes his own life, and we just kind of hear Ellie's reaction, and then we cut to a few months later. In the moment, I hated that it was happening because you don't want to relive those emotions again.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I thought about it, and I realized that they probably put it in to mimic how the game cuts from really tough moments into kind of more peaceful moments a little bit later on in the timeline. And I appreciated that consistency.
I also think it served two purposes there. That one, it's practical because they want to show us what happened last, because now we're going to jump 3 months ahead into the future. But also, it puts us in the character's head. We're going to see throughout this episode that the traumas they've been going through are really starting to affect particularly Joel. And so opening on that trauma again just puts us right in the frame of mind of where they are.
Right.
You know?
And it really manifests itself in a really intense way this episode, because Pedro Pascal's performance, he's knocking it out of the park. And he gets a lot of really cool emotional opportunities this episode. We cut to a hunter walking into his cabin. He's got rabbits, which is very symbolic of the game. There's very poignant moments that have to do with rabbits and hunting throughout the story of the game.
And we're clearly out in the middle of the wilderness. There's nothing around but this one cabin. It's full of snow.
So we're like, oh, we're getting introduced to a couple new characters. It cuts to like this Native American man. He comes in, it's his wife sitting at the table, and her eyes are darting a little bit. He's starting to kind of notice something's wrong. And then boom, Joel comes out of the shadows. So it seems like Joel and Ellie are a little bit lost, and they've found this couple that's probably been held up in this cabin for years at this place. There's a few instances where they show moments that they don't even know who the Fireflies are. They're not really aware of Fedra. The infection, they're kind of aware of it, but it doesn't really go this far into the wilderness in Wyoming, wherever they're at. So basically, Joel and Ellie are just trying to figure out where they are. I really like this moment because I felt like it gave a little bit of touch of Joel's history and kind of what he was doing in the 20 years to get what him and his people needed, the lengths that they would go to get information that they needed back then. Obviously, it doesn't play out like it does in the game, especially. Yeah. There's no violence. He really doesn't want to hurt anybody. They just want to really know where they are. So he gives them the opportunity to point at a map, which is very similar to the game as well. It's just in the game, it's a lot more intense of a situation, a lot more violence.
With a double confirm,
Yeah.
right? He's like, now you better point to the same place that your wife did.
Yeah.
And I love it because then the gentleman asks his wife, did you tell him the truth?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yes, I did. Okay. Are you telling me the truth right now? It's like, they're funny. I love this little moment. This made me think of the scene that they added in episode 2 with Ibu Ratna, where we're seeing these fantastic supporting characters that just say a lot with so little time on screen. The woman is clearly like motherly. She doesn't really feel threatened by them.
She's chilling.
He comes in
honestly.
and he's like, wait, you made them soup? Yeah, it's cold outside, hon. It's like... And I think it's mainly because, as they reveal, Ellie's with him. Obviously, we know that, but she's out of the picture right away. She's kind of hiding upstairs with her gun. She's like, he's here with a little girl,
Yeah.
So I think she was never really feeling threatened or scared by them. She's like, she understands that they just want help. They're trying to find where they want to go, So.
I guess in this world, obviously kids aren't very prevalent. So I guess when people see somebody with a kid, their guard tends to kind of go down a little bit. So they get confirmed where they are on the map, and they realize they have to kind of cross this river to get into the next kind of area that they're going to try to search for Tommy. And they call it the River of Death. And they tell them the best way west is east. You don't want to cross this. We've seen signs of dead infected, dead non-infected, and whoever's on the other side of this river is really, really dangerous. They come out of the cabin with all this information, and Joel has his first little moment of PTSD, panic attack. Like his thoughts are coming at him rapidly. hearing is getting, a lot more focused and he can't really hear the outside world. And he has this really intense moment, clutching his chest. I really think it was a panic attack.
I think so too. That's what I was alluding to before, that I think we can see the traumas really affecting him. It's manifesting physically now, which they didn't put in the game. This is a nice addition again to the show.
I love the humanization, honestly, in Joel's, all the things, like his broken hand, his hearing loss, his panic attacks that he's having now. In the game, you tend to feel like a superhero when you play as Joel, because even if you fail, you get to come back and try again. But in the TV show, we're seeing the one shot that they have.
Right.
And then we move on to a nice little moment with Joel and Ellie while they're kind of camping out, waiting to figure out where they're going to go.
I like that Ellie asks him the question, so what are we going to do when they figure out this cure? And Joel's like, we? Okay, sorry, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
See, you tell there she's feeling pretty close to him now, and he's still same old Joel,
Yep, trying to keep his walls up.
Very reticent.
And Joel says that he wants to own a ranch, a sheep ranch. And Ellie kind of makes fun of him.
Yeah.
And I found that kind of funny because if you follow the games at all, Ellie basically ends up in a sheep ranch in some way. So it's kind of funny and ironic that she kind of, talked crap to Joel in his little dream that he had.
At the end of that scene, she says, okay, you want to take first watch, or I'll take first watch? He says, I'll take both watches tonight, just get some sleep. We cut to the morning, and again, we physically see Joel struggling. He's clearly having trouble in his sleep. He's shaking around. He's mumbling little things. You can tell he's having nightmares. And then he jumps up like, oh my God, his gun is missing. And he realizes Ellie's standing there watching over him, protecting him. And, he's like, what are you doing?
Little foreshadowing.
You can't do that. And she's like, except that I just did. What can I say, bro? I'm good. I'm a natural at this. And it's
She's
like,
got it.
wow, that's cool, man.
So we get to the River of Death, and, it's not so scary. It's actually quite beautiful. They eventually pass by the dam, which is very big in the game. In the game, actually, most of this plays out in the dam and then a separate settlement where Tommy and his wife Maria are held up. And we get to see just a little glimpse of the dam, and it's functioning. In the game, you're trying to get that dam working, basically, so they can move on to Jackson, which isn't really revealed to gamers until the second game.
So we know when we see that dam, okay, they must be getting close.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Tommy's dam.
You could tell it's the dam because as a game player, in the multiplayer, that's a level in the multiplayer. And that distant shot I'm like, oh, there it is. That's the level right there. You can see the boxes. It's the same kind of setup. I appreciated that level of detail on the rendering of the dam that they did in the show.
Yeah.
So they get across this, river of death, and they make it to the other side. And we run into another moment where Joel kind of gets a little stuck. They get surrounded by all these riders that are coming at them. Obviously, people from another settlement. They held them at gunpoint. They're not playing any games. They don't really play around with new people. And they're asking them what they're doing, why they're here. Joel's trying to let them know they're just passing through, and they're not playing games. It's getting really intense.
And I couldn't figure out at first. One of the first things they ask Joel and Ellie is to stand like 10 feet apart. Ellie, back up from him. I'm like, why are they separating them so much? Then they bring out a dog. They're like, you been around any infected? You sure you're not infected? And they send the dog over, and he warns them. He says, here's your last chance for a bullet, meaning we'll take you out, because if not, this dog is going to smell the infection on you, and he will tear you apart. So they send the dog up to Joel. Dog starts sniffing Joel, and he jumps up on him, just kind of real gentle. So, Joel's clear. Joel then tries to get them out of there. Okay, so like I said, we're good, so let's get out of here. No, let's send the dog over to Ellie now, too. It's like, now we're all worried. I'm worried. I bet you were worried at that moment.
The music is intensifying.
The music's intense.
Joel's hearing is happening. The PTSD thing is happening again.
Yep. But he's stuck. He doesn't know what to do, and he just stands there, knowing that, shit, I don't know what's going to happen, and that dog might tear Ellie apart. Yeah. This could be the end right here. The dog goes over to Ellie, and we don't see it, and then suddenly we hear laughter. Cut to Ellie's playing with the dog. Yeah. She was infected, but she's not actively infected. This stuff is not growing inside of her, which is probably what the dog can smell. He can actually smell the fungus.
But we don't know the rules, you know what I mean? Like, is it a different kind of fungus? Is there even fungus in Ellie at all?
Right.
Can her body fight it totally? So obviously, whatever the dog was trained to smell, it didn't smell it. And, you know, we have this really nice relieving moment where her and the dog are kind of having a nice little time next to Joel.
We got lucky.
And then it's revealed, so one of the writers is a lady, and she's starting to kind of deduce based on what they're talking about, she might know who this guy is.
Because Joel says, I'm just out here looking for my brother.
Exactly. And she asks him, what's your name? And he says, Joel, and then we get the quick cut. And we're riding through Jackson, and as a game player, it's so well redone for the screen. Just like what we remember, down to the names of the taverns, down to the way the street looks, down to the little Christmas tree pickup area where you have the snowball fight in the second game to show you the mechanics. I thought it was awesome. And then we get another really, really tender, great acting moment from Pedro and Diego where, you know, Joel finally sees Tommy again. He yells out Tommy and they come together.
Tommy!
Yeah, man. You could tell, you know, it's relieving to Joel. He thought his brother was in trouble or dead. That's one of the only people left from the people that he actually loves and started this whole thing with.
As we've said, Joel has literally been the most reticent character the whole time. He does not show his feelings. Yeah. And this is the first time we see some real, true emotion in Joel.
Yeah, big smile, big, you know, they're really happy to see each other. Yeah. And it was really tender to see and really great acting from both of them.
And I love that he says, "What?" Tommy's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he's like, "I came to save you."
Yeah, and obviously
they just kind of laugh because it's like
Tommy's killing it. He's thriving.
Look
like
at
he's
this
doing
town.
Great. Yeah,
I mean, it feels incredible. There are people out all on the streets, families, kids. Everyone is happy. They're just walking around having a good day. Yep. And he's like, "I'm here to save you, Jesus." Yep. This is amazing.
So we have our hellos and our welcomes and good to see yous, and then they're like, "Are you hungry?" So we get to cut to like the chow hall, and they're in there. You know, obviously Joel and Ellie haven't eaten anything but like jerky and dirt for months at this point. So they're going in. Ellie's eating like she hasn't eaten ever before in her life, and they're just kind of talking it through, like how'd you get here? Like, what's up with this town? Like, what's going on here?
I love that Ellie curses in this too. She's like, "This is fucking good." And he's like, "Ellie, mind your manners."
A little father-daughter moment.
Tommy looks at Joel and just kind of smiles like, "Oh, yeah, I remember when he was a dad." This is like, it's a little dad moment right here.
And then you also see maybe a little Easter egg for game players. There's a little somebody watching from the distance that Ellie catches, and then she kind of scurries away.
I wondered who that was.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I might have an idea or two as to who that might be. Right. And we'll see if they pay that off in this season or if, a little Easter egg for season 2. Joel and Tommy go off to kind of do their thing, and then Ellie goes off to kind of get cleaned up. And there's a really nice moment where, Ellie's getting out of the shower. She's in a little kid's room, like a teenager's room, and somebody's laid out some clothes for her.
And one of the things they leave for her, which I thought was an interesting touch and a nice detail, is a feminine hygiene product, or really something for a menstrual cycle that I'm sure Maria leaves for Ellie. And it's like, wow, that's a really nice detail, and it's a clue that she's growing up and she's becoming a woman. And
so she goes next door and meets the person who left out the clothes. And like we said, it's Maria. And she sees a little placard on the wall. It's got, Kevin and a date. And it's a 3-year-old kid. And it has Sarah and a date. And you kind of realize that, that's probably the Sarah that we know.
With some candles or some memorial.
So it's a little memorial. Like the chalk is really disturbed, so it's probably been there for forever.
For a long time.
Maria offers to cut Ellie's hair. It's just like a lot of moments like this. I'm just like, it's so like the girls getting together, and I don't know if Ellie's really ever had this kind of motherly moment with somebody, and
probably not, especially the way she reacts. Like that's such a girly thing. Like, I don't want my hair cut. Like, come on, I'm just gonna cut the ends. Is what she says. Just come sit down. Yeah.
So they start talking, and then Ellie gets revealed to her who Sarah is. So I guess Maria just kind of assumed with all the time that Ellie and Joel have been together that little detail has come out.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that Ellie's heard that Joel had a daughter. I think deep down to her, she kind of always knew because of the way that Joel has acted around her, his ability to kind of have those dad moments with the don't cuss at the table thing. And, you know, she sees it come out every once in a while. And then she gets confirmed by Maria, and you know, she has a moment. Maria realizes
and
she's
she
never
literally says that this is starting to make sense now to me. Like, so much is more clear now about who Joel is, you know.
Joel and Tommy are having their own moment as well, which it plays out very much like the game. It's just in a totally different setting. But Joel, you know, lies about Tess, about her passing. He lies about Ellie, about what her whole role is. He says that she's some bigwig's daughter that he's trying to get across the country. And then he's just asking him about the school. Where is it? He's letting him know it's, you know, not too far from there. Joel's just getting a little bit more information kind of as they're going along.
And Tommy's surprised. Then he's like, "What? You're just doing this mission out of the goodness of your heart?"
He's like, "No, there's money.
There's a payment involved."
Yeah, exactly. So
I love this moment too, though, because it begins with them sitting down to have a drink, and I feel like if I ran into my brother after all these years, that's what he'd want to do too.
Yeah.
Sit down and have a drink with you.
And Joel can't believe it. Like, he's drinking whiskey. There's ice. He chipped ice into it. Yeah. He's also like, I'm rearing some hogs, so we're about to have bacon. Yeah. And they're like, he's like, man, you guys, it's everything. You don't have anything else. Like, you checked every box. This is everything I need to live. Bacon, whiskey, and lights. Let's go. Right. So then they get back together and they go on a little tour of the settlement, which I thought was really cool. The big moment that I got out of that is, you know, they're showing the little sheep area and they're walking by and Joe's like, oh, so this is a real communal area. So you guys live communally. So this is a little communist situation you got going on here. And then Tommy's like, no, man, this ain't communist.
It's not communist.
And then his wife corrects him and is like, actually, it's exactly what it is. It's the definition of a communist settlement.
To me, that played out because these are a couple Texas boys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Military guys.
Texas boys. And it's like, if you know the political climate there, that's the last thing they'd want to admit to being is communist. Yeah. But it's like, that's how we have to live now. Like,
cool little moment. No retort from Tommy. It's just like a look. And that was really cool. That was really funny. And I love that.
When Joel and Tommy are having their talk, it's kind of revealed that he's going to have a kid, right? He said, I can't help you with this mission, Joel, because I'm about to be a father. And you can tell that Joel doesn't know how to take this. Like, it's like anything that makes him think about his daughter just really messes with him. And he doesn't even know how to congratulate him. Tommy kind of jokingly is like, I hope I can be a good dad. And he's like, well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It's very throwaway.
And that's all you got from me, bro? Exactly. And it's just another clue to how broken Joel is. Because he's like, look, just because your life ended doesn't mean that mine has to be over. And when Joel walks out of that, he gets angry, he walks out of the building, and again has another little panic attack. And this is when when he's doing that, he looks into the street. From his angle, it looks like his daughter, Sarah.
He's blinking a lot throughout the panic attack. And then when he sees the person that he thinks is Sarah, his blinking stops. And it's almost like he goes into something a little bit different other than a panic attack, almost like a daydream.
Yeah.
And then he sees the younger girl there too, and it's almost like the future he couldn't have. It's the granddaughter and his older daughter that he never had a chance to meet or ever see grow up.
Yeah, because at this point, if Sarah was still alive, she probably might have a daughter.
Absolutely.
That would be that
it's
kind
20
of
years
age.
later, man. Yeah, so she would have been in her mid-30s. Joel's kind of gone off on his own. He's trying to fix up his shoes and do this kind of thing on his own because he's kind of in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And then they finally...
wrapping duct tape around his boot. I guess probably the sole's totally coming apart, you know.
Could you imagine the miles on the shoes, man? It's probably crazy. But
who knows how long he's had them. But it's great because Tommy comes in for him with a fresh pair of boots.
Yeah, he's looking out for him to the bitter end. And then they finally get a moment where Joel is honest with him. And he lets him know the truth of what's going on. Tommy obviously takes it. He's a little hesitant because he's telling him that she's infected, but
see that first
immune.
reaction right away.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah. It's been months. I've seen her get bit. It's been months since she's been bit.
Yeah.
And then he's super vulnerable, and Pedro is coming for the Emmy with this scene.
This is his big scene.
I was so moved by it. It was so well acted.
And because he has been so lacking in emotion, he never shows his emotion. This hits so hard.
Absolutely.
Because he is finally showing his emotion. And he tells him, he admits that he's tired, he's weak, he's lost everyone who he was supposed to protect. And everything that we talked about that we knew was going on in his head, but he would never admit. He's finally saying it out loud and telling Tommy that he literally, you can tell he doesn't believe in himself anymore, and he does not think he can take Ellie. He tells Tommy that I'm going to get her killed. I need you to take her because I don't think I can do this.
One of my favorite additions, which really reveals that, is when he's like, I have dreams. I don't remember my dreams. The only thing I know is when I wake up that I've lost something. So in his dreams, he's living every scenario where he loses Ellie. Like basically those game overs from the games that we get to live through and just restart. Joel's living through all those in his head at night while he dreams.
Yeah.
So that's his biggest worry, is losing Ellie again, or losing the person that he loves, which has become Ellie at this moment. So then Tommy says he'll do it.
Yeah.
And, from the game and the difference, I was like, oh man, like, is Tommy really about to take this over? Like, and then maybe they're going to switch it up and make Joel like meet up with them somewhere. I was interested to see how they played it out.
Yeah.
Another really cool moment that was cut straight from the game, word for word, exact script, down to the details in the room, is when Joel goes to tell Ellie that Tommy's going to take over from here on out.
And she already knows.
So she's been eavesdropped. She eavesdropped on that conversation, which you don't get to see, but she reveals it in the conversation. And it just plays out just like the game. And as a person that loves that game, I so love that scene was kept intact, and that it was worthy of the screen. That writing from that game that they wrote probably 10 years ago still holds up to the new actors that are portraying those roles now.
I love how it begins with her reading the
diary.
Like I said, we're in a teenager's room, right? And she's reading this girl's diary, whoever lived there before, and the world just seems just completely foreign to her. She's like, is this all that girls worried about? Was like what shirt to match with their skirt and talking about boys and all this is so foreign to her. Like, this is what life is like. But they go right past that into the real, where she tells him, I know you're trying to ditch me. And Joel tells her, like, I can't afford to, I've lost everyone, and I feel like I'm going to get you killed. And this is what's best for you. Just go with Tommy. He will protect you. And boy, Ellie jumps right back in on him. Like, oh, you think you're the only one who's lost? Everyone who I've ever had in my life, I've lost. I felt all that loss too. Everyone who has ever meant anything to me, except for you, as she shoves him. And it's like, man, it's so powerful. Like, just like it was in the game. Like,
And I think in that moment, Joel realizes that he's failing her again. And I think that's the moment where he makes the decision to, meet them at the stables and give her the choice when he knows what she's going to do.
Which is what happens the next morning. Ellie's ready to go. Tommy comes and gets her in the morning. They walk out of the house alone. They finally get to the stables where they're going to get on a horse. And there's Joel. She's like, what, you come here to say goodbye? And he's like, no, I actually came here 30 minutes ago to steal a horse and run. He wanted to run again, not face up to his emotions. But somehow he couldn't do it. He realizes it was terrible, and he gives Ellie the choice, which she immediately is like, I'm going with
Chucks the bag into his chest.
Let's go.
I pick you.
I'm not going with Tommy.
I'm not
it's
going
me
with
and
Tommy.
you to the end, babe. Let's go.
Yeah. You're the father figure in this one. So they make their way to the college. like Colorado State or something, I think is where they're heading.
Like Eastern Colorado University.
Yeah, right. Go Bighorns.
The university.
So they pull up to, they finally, make this week-long journey to the university. They finally get there. As a gamer, I feel like if this was a real location, they had to have rendered this school for the school that they used in the video game, because all the buildings were the same. The interiors were so reminiscent of the interiors of the school in the game. So really, really cool little details for everybody there. The monkeys, we get our cool little moment with the monkeys in the field and them running amok in the building, and you thinking that it's clickers.
She's like, are those monkeys?
Yeah.
They're monkeys. They probably escaped from the science labs here at the school.
Exactly. And another little touch to, how are they going to find a cure? Maybe they can use monkeys to experiment with. But, we'll see whenever we get to, I guess, Utah, which we realize from the room where the monkeys were, all the fireflies that were in different hospitals around the country have all migrated to the one hospital, which is in Utah.
Very smartly told, just through that a shot of a map.
Yeah,
where you see all these lines that are all drawn to this spot in Utah, and it says St. Mary's Hospital. So all they can do is assume, well, this must be where they've gone. So here's our new destination. Now we got to go to Utah, right?
And then they notice a couple thugs outside roaming around the college.
They hear those voices.
Yep. So they try to get out quietly. They head out to the back where their horse is stowed, and then try to hop on the horse. And Joel, in another moment of kind of weakness, doesn't hear one of these guys approaching behind him, and gets in. Ellie has to yell at him that the guy's approaching.
Joel.
And then they get into a little fight.
Yep.
The guy breaks the baseball bat against the tree when he comes in initially, and then with that handle uses it to stab Joel. But in the meantime, Joel gets him in one of the world famous Last of Us choke holds where he breaks the neck at the end. Plays out just like the game. Another cool little touch on top of everything else in this episode.
So he takes out the guy, but then once he drops to the ground, it's revealed that that big-ass bat handle has now been shoved into his gut. He's got a huge piece of wood shoved into him.
Yeah, and then a decision I don't really get, he pulls it out immediately, and you get to see that's a huge wound, and he bleeds, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So Ellie gets him on the horse, he's in shock.
The other thugs are coming.
The rest of the group is coming at him now.
Yep.
They hop on the horse, and they make their way, and they get away. They make it to these train tracks, and Joel is looking terrible. Ellie's trying to hold him up on the horse, and she's a little kid, man. So eventually Joel falls off the horse.
Just like the game.
Like the game. Ellie's on top of him trying to wake him up, pleading with him, letting him know that I can't do this alone. I need you to do this. I need you here with me.
Beautiful moment of acting.
Yeah.
I love that she doesn't get loud. She gets quiet there. It's like, I can't fucking do this without you, man.
So all you guys questioning Bella Ramsey, she's got the chops, man. You guys should have known that from Lady Mormont, but she'll prove it again to you. So like I said, everyone is coming for the Emmys in this episode with the acting across the board. It was phenomenal from everybody, and I'm just looking forward to these next few weeks.
And in typical cliffhanger fashion, now you folks have to wait and figure out what's going to happen to Joel.
Is Joel okay? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
When they fade to black, the song that actually comes back on is that same Depeche Mode song that we heard come out of the radio when they start their journey. The one that signifies trouble. And it's also covered by Craig Mazin's daughter, which is in another cool, like full circle kind of moment. A lot of father-daughter kind of moments showing up, not only on screen, but, in the music behind the scenes, which I thought was really, really cool touch. But as always, guys, let us know what your favorite moment was. Leave a comment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching week after week. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Gooch.
We'll see you guys next week. Peace.